guys, welcome back to the Cocco channel and to another retail horror story. This one does involve Target again, which I'm pretty sure that was the one I did last week, was a different Target story. But this is obviously the same Target that I worked at in Vegas, and also involving the food court, Food Avenue. So when I first got there, Chris wasn't there yet at Food Avenue, and so in the back it was obviously N, which somebody was like, you said his name multiple times, but what are you gonna do? So N, you know, was the manager back there, and then there was this girl, she worked at Starbucks. Who else was back there? Anyways, there was this kid back there who was a little bit older than me by like 2 years, and his name starts with an M. Let's pray that I don't say his full name. And so I was, like I said, I think I was like 19 or 20, and he was 21. And from afar, like, he was good looking, you know what I mean? He looked like Johnny Depp. No joke, he literally looked like a young Johnny Depp, but with like blonde hair. He was like super quiet, and you guys know me, I'm just not. And so I kind of like got him out of his shell. Like, I would mess around with him, like, you know what I mean, just joking, flirting, you know what I mean? Mind you, I'm not married or anything at the time. It's weird talking about like flirting with people when you're married. It's really weird. So anyways, you know, him and I like got to become really good friends. He like wasn't really doing anything with his life. He wasn't like going to college or anything, and at the time I was. And so I kind of like, I don't know, we just became really good friends, you know what I mean? And he was definitely on the odd side. I feel like a lot of attractive people are, but he's definitely like on the odd side. Like, he has a very strange sense of humor. You know what I mean? But he was just like really nice, and you know what I mean? He didn't really talk to anybody else, and I don't know, I just got along with him for the most part. He was just so weird though. Like, he would say the weirdest things, and he would do like this really weird laugh that made him completely unattractive. Like, like he would like pinch his mouth together. It was so strange. He became obsessed, like obsessed. I'm not like tooting my horn or like anything like that, like, but he was obsessed. I don't know if like maybe it was because, you know what I mean, he didn't get a lot of attention maybe, or I don't know, because he was so strange. Like, if you looked at him from afar, like, you would definitely want to go talk to him, you know what I mean? But maybe once you got up and started talking to him, you're like, okay, bye. You know what I mean? I don't know what his past was with like girls and stuff like that. So he just became obsessed. Like, anywhere that, you know, by the time Chris got in, him and I moved into that apartment with another guy, he was over like all the time. Mind you, I was the only one in the whole entire group that drove. I don't know, he just like went with us everywhere, you know what I mean? But he lived with his grandparents. Like, he didn't have like a very good home situation with like his biological mother and father. Such a sad situation. So anyways, I don't know, he just like went with us everywhere. And so one night there was another girl that came in that was like kind of part of our group, and her name was Kiari, and she worked in Food Avenue with us, and she like met this dude at Target, which is a whole nother story in itself. And he was a tattoo artist, and so he did tattoos out of his house, and whole other story. So we went over there one night, and obviously M came with us, and I think it was just me, her, and him. I don't know if Chris went or not. Maybe he did. I think he was there actually. So anyways, we go to this guy's house, you know, to get our tattoos, which you should never do. So I, you know what I mean, already knew what I wanted. This would have been my second tattoo, I think, and I've always wanted a 4-leaf clover on my shoulder, and so I'm sure you guys have seen it. M is like, I think I'm gonna get one too, and so I was like, oh, okay, cool. And so this is so crazy. He's not even Irish, and decides that he's gonna get a 4-leaf clover as well on the same exact spot, like getting matching tattoos, which it was just so weird. I was like, oh, okay. But instead of like him getting his filled in with green, he just got like the black outline. So, you know, that happened, which was just so weird. I don't know why, but I was like completely creeped out by it, that he like would get a matching tattoo when, you know what I mean, like we were just friends, like on a weird, you know what I mean, basis. Like he was really attractive, but you know what I mean, looks aren't everything. Like if you're not mentally attracted to somebody, like it's just not gonna, you know what I mean, you're not gonna have that like zing. Isn't that what they say? Have that zing. So time goes by, and I was living at home. Something happened with the apartment, and I think the other guy that we were living with was moving, and Chris was gonna move back home to save money. And so I was like, you know what, I need to go back home and, you know what I mean, like get my stuff together, because when I was living in that apartment, like I just started getting in trouble with school, you know what I mean, I started failing classes because it was like a party apartment, you know what I mean, I just didn't have my priorities set. Again, I was only like 19 or 20. So I moved back home, and there was like this huge thing with my brother that I won't get into because it's like super personal, but I like, my parents were out of town, and I like needed to leave the house like right then and there, and M was like, move in with me, you know what I mean, he kind of knew the situation with my brother and was like, move in with me. And at his grandparents' house, he's like, you would have your own room, they wouldn't charge you rent, like just come, you know what I mean. And his grandparents seriously were like the coolest people. There's like some episode on a show where it was like talking about like dating somebody just because you like their parents, you know what I mean, like that's how it was almost with M, because his grandparents were just so cool. They were just so cool. They weren't like as old, like when you think of grandparents, like you think older, but they weren't that old. They were about like a little bit older than my parents at the time. So anyways, you know, I moved in with them, and everything was freaking amazing, you know what I mean. And he was like, a little time had passed by, and he's like, you know, I really thought that by letting you move in that we would start dating. And so that got like kind of weird. I was like, well, you know what I mean, like I don't, you know, I do like you, but I don't, you know, I just don't want to rush into anything, like kind of like pull those lines, you know what I mean. So like basically like my livelihood was like on the line, and so I didn't like do anything that I wasn't supposed to or anything weird, you know what I mean, like he didn't like make me have sex with him or anything like that. I was just like, well, you know, let's just do it on a trial basis, you know what I mean. I didn't know what to say because I liked him as a friend, I loved living there, and I did, you know, we worked together, which is like a lesson I had to learn the hard way. I had already dated somebody at this Target, and it was like a freaking nightmare. And so, you know, I was like, well, you know, let's just see what happens. And so things got kind of weird after that, and I'll never forget this. This was so crazy. So like in my mind, because I said like, let's just see what happens, like we were kind of dating, but I didn't really, you know what I mean, like I didn't want to put a label on it just because I didn't want him to get weird, and I was already weirded out about like the tattoo thing, and he just, you know what I mean, was like overbearing. Like that was the day of MySpace. He posted on my page every single day. We were texting all day long, you know what I mean, we already worked together. He would like, you know, when I was living at the apartment, he would just come over, like have his grandma drop him off, and you know what I mean, it was just, you know, it was a lot, and I was living with him, so it was just like all day, every day, like it was him. And so you know, after he like said, you know, I thought that we were gonna be more, and I don't know, I just felt like pressured and like kind of weirded out, and so I would like kind of, I took a step back a little bit, and even with like his grandparents, I would, you know what I mean, like not really sit down and eat with them because I just didn't want to feel like, I don't know, I just didn't want to feel like I was part of the family, you know what I mean, like when you're dating somebody, I don't know. So anyways, one night, I came home, and I'll never forget this. I had just went grocery shopping, and so I like put some stuff, I had stuff up in my room, like just obviously like non-perishable items, and I like was unloading and bringing like the bags up to my room, and he was already home, and so he like knocked on my door, and he came in, and I like was unloading stuff, and we were just like talking, and so I was like unloading, and I looked up, and I hadn't seen him since the day before. Like I went to work, went grocery shopping, and then came home, and I hadn't seen him since the day before. So I knew he went out that night because I heard him come home at like super early in the morning. And I like looked up, and his neck is like covered in hickeys. And I was like, well, that's weird. And so I was like, so what's going on? He's like, oh, do you see these? And I was like, duh, like, you know what I mean? Astronauts can see those things, like they were huge. And so he's like, you know, I started hanging out with this new girl, and I was like, okay, you know what I mean? I was like, I mean, that's kind of weird since you were talking about like we were gonna start dating, and you know what I mean, which was kind of shitty at the time because I like didn't want to date him, but that's just like what we were talking about. And he was like, well, you know, you never really made up your mind, but we went to the Green Door last night, which, if you don't know what that is, it's like a sex club almost. It's not like prostitutes and stuff like that. Like you can go with your like significant other and like swing. They have like different themed rooms where you can do different things, whatever you're into. No judgment. But that is nothing that I would ever do. And so I was just like in my mind I'm like, that's disgusting. You know what I mean? Like he just went to the sex club and he was like, I don't even remember which one's from who. And I was like, so you basically like cheated on me at a sex club. Like that's disgusting. You know what I mean? And so I was like, and he's like, yeah, well, this girl that I've been hanging out with needs a place to stay and I need you to leave. Yeah. So I like remember just being like really distraught because the like situation at home like wasn't the greatest. Nothing to do with my parents, it was my brother. Like him and I just didn't get along even as like adults, you know what I mean? And so it just wasn't a good situation with him being in the house. And so I was just like, oh my god, you know what I mean? Like what am I gonna do? And so I think I was home, I moved back home, and I think I was there maybe a month, and I met a new boy who was a tattoo artist, and we were together I don't even know how many weeks, and we moved in together just so I could like get out of the house. But I think what I'm gonna do, that's it for this retail horror story. Insane. Don't date people at your workplace. Don't do it. Don't do it. Because then I don't even know if I put in my proper 2 weeks notice for Target or if I just left because I got offered that job at Converse. Like everything happened like right in line, you know what I mean? Like I didn't want to be in that situation anymore, and I didn't want to see him anymore because my feelings were hurt, you know what I mean? Because we were still friends, and like I couldn't believe like he kicked me out, and it really did feel like he cheated on me. And then, you know what I mean, transitioning into another job, and so that's it for this story. But I think I like don't have a ton of retail horror stories left, so I think I'm gonna start like doing dating nightmare stories because I have quite a few of those. So let me know if you guys are interested in that. I'm gonna start filming them, I'm pretty sure. So you guys seem to really enjoy the story time. They're seriously my most viewed videos on here. So I love you guys so much. Thank you for watching. If you're new, hello and welcome. My name is Brittany Cocco, and you are watching the Cocco channel. Please subscribe if you're not already, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.
And so, oh man, I didn't fill in my eyebrows. Oh well.